Russell wanted to sign with the Steelers up until the last minute here, but the Steelers didn't want him. Well, apparently the Steelers didn't want him, but Russell wanted to sign back here, so it tells you that they've moved on from him. So they didn't want him. They could have
they could have had him at any point in the last.
And that decision was probably made a couple weeks after Art talked. Art said this during his interview. Man, they didn't even meet yet as an organization yet when Art talked, and that's the problem. What he says ends up not being what they come to as a whole. So it's hard to really hold them on that because they didn't meet as a unit. Between that point and the end, and between that and maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, they came to the decision is we're just not interested in Russell coming back for whatever reason it is.
And Russ, after playing so well the first 7 starts, he got out over his skis a little bit and started trying to do too much in Philly, the fumble on the goal line in Baltimore, all these different things. And all of a sudden they were like, listen, Russ, we need to get you back to what you were the first 7 starts when you were just managing things. And he refused to do that for whatever reason. He thought he needed to do more because they weren't scoring. And that created some kind of fracture where they were like, listen, if you don't do what we're asking you to do, then we're going to shackle you.
The last month or so of the season where I was definitely informed that Arthur was and Russell were not very fond of each other at that point. I mean, you wouldn't been able to tell. You wouldn't been able to tell by how they reacted, how they met on the field, but behind closed doors, apparently it was worse than some maybe people were saying it was. So you just have to go with that assumption right now, unless you hear otherwise, that they chose the guy with a 3-year contract over the guy who's 37 years old.
The only thing that would make sense in my mind would be Arthur Smith getting frustrated with the way Russ played in some of those big moments down the stretch in Philly, in Baltimore, against Kansas City, trying to rein him back in and get him to calm down and get back to the guy he was in his first 7 starts and not being able to.